Feeling frazzled? Come and sit with me for a wee while and let's draw something soothing together. This tangle I'm going to teach today is called String of Hearts, and by the end of this video you will definitely have a tile that's beautiful and you'll be feeling calm. So as I get started, I'll introduce myself. I'm Lisa Crow of Creating Calm with Lisa, and I'm a Certified Zentangle Teacher. So this tangle was deconstructed by somebody called Christie King, who I believe is another Zentangle teacher. I saw this tile on Jodie Genovese's Instagram page. Jodie Genovese is definitely a Zentangle teacher anyway. So you can see I've just created these 3 dots kind of arranged in a triangular way, and then I've joined on the right hand side. It's almost like a way of joining in Huggins, if you're familiar with the Tangle Huggins. And what we're going to do now is we're going to have as if there's a ribbon coming out from this section here. I'm just going to disappear off the side of the page with this bit. And so, like I say, it's called String of Hearts, and you'll see why in just a moment. So we're creating a loop here, and then we're going to complete this loop, and we're going to join the line that we start creating here is going to meet up here, as if this ribbon is going underneath here. And I've done this before. I'll show you later on in the video. I'll show you my 2 previous examples that I've drawn of this. But I've done it basically before, and it's just a really, really lovely tangle. And the first time I did it, I had a pencil line of a kind of like a string line, but you don't need to have that string line at all. It was just a guide that I was using, but it doesn't need to be there. And in fact, I think it looks really cool if you have these 3 dots, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, sometimes closer together, and you'll see why as we go on. So maybe this time I'm going to have this in another orientation. It might affect how we join things together, but it's going to look cool anyway. So the 3 dots, joining these 2 dots on the right hand side, like that. And now we're going to create a ribbon, 2 parallel lines here, and it's as if these lines are going to meet up with this one here. So that top line is going to meet with this one here, and the bottom line will meet this one here. And I always turn my tile so that I'm drawing towards me, because that's just what feels natural for me. But do whatever feels right for you. You might feel that you want to complete your heart this way. Or you might start from this way here. But this is just, as soon as I saw it, I thought, I need to do that one for myself. It's just fabulous. Not everybody likes drawing heart shapes, but I do. So hopefully you will enjoy this, but I really had to share it. As soon as I saw it, I thought, that is going on my channel. So just as if this band is disappearing inside or underneath that heart. And you could have the lines of these heart shape, the triangles so close that you're ending up, I'll do the next one too close really so you'll see what I mean, so that you can have one of the hearts overlapping its neighbouring one. So if I do this one here, and then join. So that now is as if this heart is disappearing slightly under the next one. You can have it so that the heart is fairly symmetrical, or so that it's like, you know, that one's a bit more, this one's a bit more symmetrical, whereas this one's a bit more of a warped heart. It doesn't matter, it's just whatever you would like to do. And you can see, like, it's worth pointing out, you know, that I'm kind of far from doing these connections perfectly. You can see that my line here is kind of too close to where that original dot was. But it's not going to be that obvious once we start shading, and, you know, I can fix that with more ink as well in a moment. So that one's just kind of disappearing off the edge a little bit, and we'll have to bring this down a wee bit lower because we're going to connect that. Well, this is as if it's going to be connected with these bars here. And then start my next heart here. So that is the first stage of this. I've just smudged that there, but it doesn't matter. So in the original step outs, what Christie has is that she has auraed around here and around here. So I'll do all of the hearts first with just that, and you can see if you would like to do that, but I've taken mine a step further and added in even more auras. It's up to you what you would like to do on your own tile if you're completing it. It'll look fabulous whatever you try to do with it. I've actually done this, I've only done it twice, I think I mentioned earlier on, but I've done it a couple of different ways, so that I've done it pretty much just like this and then shaded it, and there's not been any filler patterns. But the first time that I did this, I kind of put some orbs into the centre of the string of hearts, and then I put some pencil in, like coloured pencil, so that I kind of created a gemstone. Like I've started going and adding the auras here that I haven't done on any of the others, but you can see what I'm meaning about just having those triangular bits auraed. So you could keep yours just as having these bits auraed, and then you can shade from there, you can add other filler patterns. But what I'm doing, as you can see here, I'm just adding some aura lines of the outside shapes, as well as actually auraing the triangle areas. And you can see I'm trying to be consistent with how far away that I am from the outside edges. And I could have done, you know, this is basically a line that's disappearing under here and then continuing around here, so I could have kind of followed each of the lines around, but I've been doing these ribbons in turn. So now I'm going to create an aura on the inside of that heart. because these lines that I'm creating now, it's supposed to be as if that line comes through here. And just do this nice and slow. The slower the better, because then the more mindful and intentional you'll actually be with the lines that you're creating, and it'll help you to relax into the tangling that bit more effectively. So I mentioned last week about Zentangle having their celebration tomorrow, International Day of Zentangle. It's almost here. I'm really, really excited about it. Last year's was just so much fun. So I believe this year they're suggesting that we use a Renaissance Zentangle tile. So if you're not familiar with Zentangle, Renaissance tiles are tan shaded tiles, and Zendalas are circular tiles. Well, they actually are circles. We don't normally use the word circle in Zentangle because we kind of don't have the perfection, but the Zentangle tiles are actually cut as circles. So I really love the quirkiness of this. I mean, you could do it so that you have a string and everything's evenly spaced and all the triangular dots are kind of in the same orientation, but I feel like it's got more personality if everything's different, like the way that I've drawn it just now. So when I saw Christie King's version that Jodie Genovese shared, I don't know if it was Jodie who had done the step outs and done her kind of suggestion of how to create it, but whatever one it was drawn so that in here there was some prantom. So just for one, if you don't know what prantom is, that's another Zentangle pattern, and it's simply creating a spiral. And the mindfulness of this comes in because you're trying to basically keep your lines consistently spaced. I say lines, your spirals consistently spaced. And just taking your time. It's such a lovely tangle to kind of be able to think about different fillers to put in it. You could put, I don't know, maybe a triangular pattern instead in here. Whatever you go with, it's going to look lovely. And like I said before, if you wanted to, you could actually just leave the hearts blank with no fillers at all. But I think that looks really cool. So I'm just putting some prantom on every single bit. I think this might look quite cool with Shattuck. I really love the Tangle Shattuck. I'll need to remember when I'm referring to previous videos to actually share a link, but I have got previous videos where I teach Shattuck, so I'll try and remember to tag to that so that you can watch that video from here. And yeah, this is good. Don't know if you can hear, it's quite noisy outside just now because today it's been really heavily raining in Glasgow. I'm in Scotland, if people don't know, if you're new to my channel. I actually feel like I've had a major achievement today, because you may or may not know, depending on how long you've followed me and if I've mentioned it before on here. I'm not sure if I have, but I've been driving, like I passed my test in 2006, next month is going to be my 19th anniversary of passing my driving test. But I've always been an extremely nervous driver. I passed my test while I was still living up in Dundee. My husband at the time didn't drive either. Well, I drove, but I wasn't getting the practice. My family were in Glasgow, which is 90 miles away. So a lot of time passed where I wasn't actually getting any practice in driving, and then I started to develop a fear, and years would go past without me driving at all, and then it just became this major thing for me. I was trying to get hypnosis to help me get back to driving. I was speaking to a counsellor. It was a really huge deal for me. It was quite debilitating because, you know, I have to rely on public transport a lot of the time. I drive like within our village all the time. Like, you know, I take Isla to the childminder, but the childminder lives within our village. Our local road was closed off. They were supposed to be improving it, and the delays are actually taking longer to complete than they'd estimated that the job was going to take in the first place, but that's another story. So anyway, my driving, I've kind of not been doing much of it since they've had this road that I use closed off. So I thought I can't go out driving at all. Kept talking myself out of it. And long story short, it's a bit of a ramble. I decided that I needed to just get over it and stop being fearful. So I decided that today I was going to drive over to my mum's. My mum's looking after Isla today. So I did drive her over, but I woke up this morning and I wasn't prepared for torrential rain. I was thinking, I was doing some visualizations last night. I was listening to a hypnosis thing on YouTube for driving, and I was doing, EFT, like tapping. I was doing kind of different things to try and work through this fear that I've talked myself into having. And I hadn't visualised the roads being so wet, so I started to kind of talk myself out of it this morning, and my husband was saying to me, no, you'll be fine, you'll be absolutely fine, you're overcomplicating it in your head. So anyway, Isla and I got in the car, got over to my mum's. It took us about 15 minutes, and my mum was just gobsmacked when she answered the door and saw me standing there with the car behind me rather than Bob bringing Isla over. It's a huge big thing for me to have done that. So I'll definitely be doing that journey more often. Like the motorway, joining the motorway to get to my parents from here, it's actually the easiest motorway journey that you can do. Like once you've joined onto the motorway, you stay in that lane until the junction where you leave to get to my mum and dad's. So as journeys like that go, it's one of the easier ones to kind of get me set up for doing other motorway driving. But I was just buzzing after I came home, so I was like, I actually did that. I've been talking myself out of it all of these years. It feels so silly, but you know, if you have a fear, you can't really help it, can you? It's just something that gets a hold of you. And I realised I've been telling myself all these things that I couldn't do, and I actually could. I love how this is looking so textured. You'll see this is very similar in the way that I've done this on this piece of paper. This isn't a Zentangle branded piece of paper. This is just a watercolour pad that I have that's A6 size. And I've used, I've got a hole punch that I use so that I've rounded off the corners with that. And it's just a nice size of tile or surface to be working on. So yeah, it's a bit noisy outside just now, so I've got the window open in the room where I'm filming this, and cars go past, you can potentially hear them splashing in the puddles, but at the same time it's been really, really warm. It was about 29 degrees on Saturday here, so kind of need to still keep the windows open even if it's wet outside. Nearly finished with this, so we're just, I mean, you can put the prantom as small or as big as you would like them to be. They don't all have to be the same size either. So that's us done with filling that in, and I'm just going to come in now with a pencil and just shade anywhere where this tangle disappears inside or under other parts of itself. Just go very lightly. If you're new to this kind of art, just go quite lightly with the pencil if you're just starting, just so that you don't, like, if you go too heavily on your pencil, you might find it a bit hard to blend it out when you're using the blending stump. It's always better to put down not enough graphite and then you can add some more, rather than being left with lines that are too heavy for you to smooth out. On this bit, I'm going to just put a wee bit of shadow where that's overlapping. You can see as well how I commented that where I've been making it not as perfect as it could be, that it doesn't matter once you start adding the shading. Nobody's going to even notice those bits. Well, you might now because I've pointed it out, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So I'm just looking at this now, just trying to see where I've not shaded. So I think that's me got the graphite down in every bit that I want to put it on. So I'm just bringing in my blending stump now. I'm just using that gently to just ease out the graphite a little bit into those heart shapes. Oh, I did miss a bit for graphite, so I'm going to add some graphite here. This looks so lovely. But yeah, going back to what I was saying about my driving phobia, I had talked myself out of that, out of driving for years and years. I mean, I passed my driving test in 2006, almost exactly 19 years ago. And only today I feel like a proper driver. And this applies to when you're doing, you know, things like Zentangle, because people can talk themselves out. I hear people all the time, they tell me like, oh, I'm not creative enough, like, you've got so much talent for doing the Zentangle stuff that you do, like, I could never do that. And the stories that we tell ourselves, isn't it, at the end of the day? You never know until you try. Because at least in the context of Zentangle, I mean, my driving phobia wasn't entirely irrational, because part of my fear came from, what if something happens to me or somebody that I love when I'm driving. So yes, driving isn't like entirely safe all the time, and you have to kind of be aware of everything that's going on around you. But in the context of Zentangle, it's just a pen and paper at the end of the day. So if you are somebody who kind of watches these videos and you love watching, but you kind of are a bit, well, I don't think I could do that myself, just try it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It's just a bit of pen and paper at the end of the day, isn't it? So I've got all the shading done for this. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add this is not part of the original step out, but I'm going to add an aura around this whole shape. You'll see one of the ones that I did previously, I did an aura just on the bottom of the tangle. I used a size 10 micron pen, so it's extremely thick. But this time I'm going to do it slightly differently, that I'm going to put an aura above the tangle as well. And then just to see how that starts to shape up. But when Jodie Genovese shared the step outs on her Instagram, there was, I'll put a link to that actually, to that post in my description so that you can find that. But you'll be able to see like that, whether it's Jodie who's drawn it or Christie King who's drawn the step outs, there's other tangles above and below the actual string of hearts tangle. So you could have this as a mono tangle tile, simply meaning that you only have the string of hearts, or you could have it so that you've got other tangles around it as well. And I've also created this tangle in the round, you know, on a circular tile. So there are different ways to do it. You might want to, once you've done this aura, I've just messed it up a little bit, but never mind. I think maybe off camera, now that I've done that, I mean, we always say in Zentangle that there are no mistakes. I think what I might do for that is that I'm going to add another aura. I'll start doing it just now, just to show you actually how I can fix that little blooper, for want of a better word. So I might just add some Knightsbridge here on this aura and do that along the full thing. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just finish this seeing as I've started it, because if you're not wanting to watch the full thing of me putting this in, then you can just skip ahead in the video. There's some tanglers out there, some tanglers that I really respect, who put up their videos and then they skip through it, but I just think personally I quite like to have the videos just in real time and not speeded up in any way. So if I'm going too slowly, I'll not be offended if you skip through sections. In fact, I probably won't even know. See here, I'm not going to be able to fit the entire Knightsbridge thing in potentially, but I'll just see how that works out when I come to it. I'm just trying to be pretty much consistent in the width of that aura. I'm just alternating with ink and then just leaving the neighbouring spaces blank, or uninked. And this is actually, I'm quite glad that it wasn't a mistake as such, but I just, the way that I kind of put too much ink down in the one section, I'm quite glad that I got the chance to demonstrate that you can see something like that as an opportunity. You could see that as, oh no, I've just messed that up. Or you could say, how can I do something about that to make that different? So I'm just adding Knightsbridge all the way down. I find it so relaxing when I'm inking in these stages. Like, I mean, different people like different things, but if you're one of the people who was like how I used to be, and you kind of get a bit impatient for inking things in, you just kind of want to be skipped past that, just try to enjoy it. Just take the chance to slow down. There's absolutely no hurry, she says as she scribbles into another bit of a... I went out the line a wee bit, but it's just because I'm kind of going a bit faster because I'm on camera. Yeah, I think this is one of my new favourites, this tangle. So yeah, I think that Christie King, I'm sure Jodie Genovese said that she no longer has an Instagram account, so I don't know if she's on Facebook. If she's somewhere else, I'll need to try and see if I can tag this video so that she can see it, but she certainly doesn't seem to be on Instagram, but maybe on Facebook. I always think it's nice to let people know if you've shared their tangles. Everybody in the Zentangle community always seems to be so supportive of one another, and any time that I have shared other people's tangles, those people say, oh, thank you so much for sharing my tangle, and they give compliments on how I've interpreted it or drawn it for myself. I really love that. See how striking that looks? I just love that. So what I think I'll do now is that I'm going to add another aura just to kind of balance it out. Because otherwise maybe it might be too top heavy. It's just a personal opinion. Obviously you might want to do yours in a different way. You might not be adding any auras at all. But I don't think I'm going to add any Knightsbridge this time. I'm just going to put a series of lines next to one another. And again, like, I'm kind of rushing through it because I'm on camera. But just you take your time if you're doing this at home. And you might want to turn your tile as you go, just so that your lines are pointing in the right way. But I say right way, I mean there's no right or wrong when it comes to tangling, is there? don't actually think I've got, I'm just looking around my desk to see if I've got a white pastel pencil. I don't think that I actually do. Usually when I have Knightsbridge on one of my tiles, I like to add the pastel pencil over the top. I'll have another look once I've put this pen down. But if I don't add it on camera, then I'm sure I'll add pastel pencil later. Add some of the magic wand, as Molly calls the pastel pencils. I think that looks so cool. And what I'm going to do for shading this, I mean, you could shade all the way along the top of this aura. You could do just along the bottom. You could do both. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to go see where these bits are that there's a point. I'm going to have my pencil just be on the left hand side of the line where that zigzag shape is. This just might be a slightly different way of shading it. You do whatever you would like to do. So then I'm going to smooth these out. So I need to get on with, I was mentioning my introduction to Zentangle video last week. I'm planning to have that available for purchase by the end of this month. So maybe if I say to everybody on this channel I'm doing that, that'll hold me more accountable. That's the hope anyway. Right, excuse this rummaging sound. I'm just looking to see if I have a pastel pencil handy. I don't just now. But anyway, what I would do now is that you can actually add some graphite on this Knightsbridge. If it's wide enough, you can put graphite at the tops and the bottoms. I'm going to add the graphite anyway, even although I don't have the pastel pencil, because that'll just make it look a bit less flat. And one thing to share with you, harking back to me talking about the driving earlier on, I was listening to a video on YouTube last night, and it was a guy he's an English driving instructor, but he was doing this meditation thing on YouTube about how to conquer your driving fear. And what he was doing in his meditation was that he was having you visualise yourself behind the wheel and thinking of how horrible it makes you feel and how anxious you are, and visualise yourself like, you know, white knuckles on the steering wheel, blah blah blah. And then he says, now think about something that you do that can bring you complete and utter calm. And straight away I thought, Zentangle. Because as much as I absolutely love being Isla's mummy, 5-year-olds aren't usually calm. So yeah, I just was visualising myself during the meditation. I was visualising myself tangling and how that makes me feel versus how I feel behind the wheel. And that is honestly how calming that Zentangle actually is for me. Even just thinking about tangling really, really helps me. So yeah. And somebody last week commented on my video saying even just listening to my voice and watching me, she finds that really calming, and that's so lovely to know. I mean, I'm the same with other people. I mean, I love tangling. I tangle all the time, as you will know, and you can imagine being a Zentangle teacher, but there are some channels where I watch the videos and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll keep that up my sleeve for another day, and then I don't quite get to drawing those particular tangles, but it's just enjoyable to watch because it is such an enjoyable thing to do and observe. So I've got to the end of that shading, and I'm going to put my chop somewhere down here. Just wedge it in there. So that is a string of hearts. I absolutely love that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. So I'll show you what I've previously done. So this is an earlier one that I've done. You can see it's quite a bit simpler because today's I've got the Prantom filler in it. And then obviously this one doesn't have any filler, but I've got the size 10 micron. Like, you can see how thick that nib actually is. It's really quite thick, so that's got a bold line, and then I've just created an aura line in pencil and used a blending stump. So I really like that shading technique, you know, having it kind of the shade like not actually coming right out of that line, but like kind of staggered a little bit. I think that's quite effective. And then I've done this one as well, and this was so much fun. So I basically took, don't even know all the colours of the pencils that I've used here. This is one of them anyway. This is the darkest one. They're all Faber-Castell. I'll actually share, I'll find out what the names are, and I can share if you're interested, because sometimes people ask me what particular colours that I've used. But I've just done like a kind of gemstone effect, just kind of shading in that way, and then I've used white jelly roll to create the highlight there. So you can see it's really nice when it's done in the round as well. And all you do for doing that is you can just do a kind of pencil line, and it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You don't have to use a compass, because you can see it's not like I've got it all so that the triangles fall on a circle. Like, some of the hearts are bigger, some of them are smaller, so it doesn't have to be a perfect circle at all. So that's how you do it in a circle. I mean, let me know if you would want me to create this tangle as a separate video done in the round, then I'll happily do that. It's so much fun to do. And I've realised I actually need to put my chop on this one as well. But if you've enjoyed this video and you've found some calm through watching it, please do give this a like, share and repost and all that. It's really much appreciated, because it just brings the video obviously to other people. But if you tangle it, more importantly, just enjoy tangling it for yourself. I'd love to see what you come up with as well. So I'll call this off for today, and I'll hopefully see you next week or at one of my other future videos. Have a good week. Bye.